today is May 11th. It is a B-Day. The objective question of the day is, what is the scientific name of a horse? Somebody raise your hand and tell me what yesterday's question was. What was yesterday's question, Chastity?
What are the byproducts of cellular respiration?
Okay, what are the byproducts of cellular respiration? A byproduct is not the main product. It's an extra thing. So cellular respiration, what do we want to make? What do organisms want to make to keep their life processes going? Every organism needs this to stay alive. What do we need is energy. We break the chemical bonds, boys, in glucose to create energy. What's going to burn it is oxygen. Every time you burn the glucose, you make energy by breaking those bonds, but you also make something else we don't want. We have to excrete it. What do you excrete every time you make energy in cellular respiration? Carbon dioxide. What else do you excrete with the carbon dioxide? You are making two substances or two compounds. What is the other one, Jordan? H2O and CO2. Exactly. So yesterday's question, number 7. What are the byproducts of cellular respiration? Carbon dioxide, write it down. And what did Jordan say? H2O. Why? Because when you break down, Joel, write it down. When you break down this molecular compound, which is glucose, you have to break the bonds. Then they reattach and make new compounds. They don't make glucose still because the bonds are broken. They have to make something else, and then we excrete it out of our body. Carbon dioxide and H2O. All of these will be changed into something else. We get ATP, which is energy, and the byproducts, H2O and CO2. Good? All right. The next thing I want to go over. I'm missing an oxygen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm missing an oxygen. Where'd it go? I thought it was on the floor, but I don't see it. All right, I'll make another oxygen. One of the oxygens disappears. They have tape. All right, this is recorded, so I don't want to make it too long. People are going to be like, I don't want to watch this. All right, so scientific name for a horse. Every organism has a scientific name. It's Latin. Why do we name them something scientific? So it's universally understood. So that every country, every language has the same, organisms have the same scientific name. Corn is an organism. It has a scientific name. You know what corn's name is? Zea maize. Every country knows corn is Zea maize. Dogs in every country, this is their name. Canis familiaris. Canis, like canine. Cats. Felidae silvestri. Every organism has a scientific name. You have a name too, right? First name, last name? Scientific names have 2 pieces. So we're going to talk about that. In your notes, you're going to write it down. We're going to apply it, and hopefully by tomorrow, these are all done. We can do a fun little activity. Yes, sir. Oh, shoot the 2. Nope. Yeah, it is recording. How weird is that? Okay, so let's look. The naked mole rat has lots of different adaptations. How do we know? Oh, it's frozen. How do we know that this is a rat?
Wait, how many questions?
Did it go yet?
No.
So weird. We're on question number 8. How do I make it go? It's not even freezing or unfreezing.
Turn it on and off.
Usually be like a...
Oh, all right.
Or unplug it.
Look at this. Can't even turn it off.
Yeah,
Unplug it. Unplug it.
All right, pause. Pause. No. Play. Where's play? Right here?
right there.
It's going again? Okay. So, what makes this a rat and not a different organism? How do we know it's a rat? There's a lot of different species of rats. How do we know this is a rat?
It has the shape of a rat and it has like the nose.
Okay, it has similar characteristics. Good job. A lot of the features are the same. So how do scientists know when they find new organisms what they actually are? They have to look at certain things. There's an actual science for this. You can go into the field. It's called taxonomy. So take out your classification notes. You got them from this little bin over here. We are going to write down the notes. Before we get there, though, are you able to group these by yourself into two different categories? You know this already. You learned this in kindergarten. If you had to make two different groups, what two different groups would you make, Carl?
Flowers and frogs.
Flowers and frogs? No. What would you put them in, Ask Tony? Plants and animals. So we would put A, B, and F together, C, E, and D. Could you classify them by color? You could, but would they be similar? The only thing they'd have in common would be color. If we classified them by other features, we would have more similarities. So when you put A, B, and F together, they all have leaves. They all have roots. They have more things in common. Yes, sir. Yes. Can you tell if this is a plant or an animal?
It's a plant.
How do you know? Raise your hand. How many people think this is a plant? How many people think this is an animal? How many people need more information? What do you think it is, Orion? Plant or animal? Okay, what do you think it is, Egypt? Kareem? Plant. How many people think it's an animal?
Animal.
It's actually a sea anemone. You can't see it moving. If you had the ability to see this in action, you would know a little bit more. It lives in the water, and it has different characteristics than plants. It doesn't have any chloroplasts. So what do scientists need to do in order to figure out when they see new organisms? They need to ask questions. You're going to be a taxonomist tomorrow. Look at your notes. You're writing what's white.
Oh, we're writing the white.
You're writing the white. Yes. The science of naming, describing, and grouping organisms is called taxonomy. It's a science that helps us classify new organisms and even organisms that were extinct. When we look at fossils and bones, if we find organisms that were not alive when we were alive, we want to group them together. We want to learn the most about them because we're selfish human beings and we want to make sure that we can stay alive as long as we can. So we really need to know the history of the earth. What climate, adaptations, all different things that allow us to live our best lives. So we look at their physical features. Like you said before, their nose, tails, their ears. What physical characteristics do they have? We're also going to look at the structures internally. Do they have lungs? Do they have gills? What structures do they have? We're going to look inside a microscope and look at their cells, and even further, look at the DNA. We share 98% of our DNA with chimpanzees. We even share 50% of our DNA with bananas. Why? Because we're living. All living things are made of cells. In order to actually make a cell, you need instructions. The instructions come from the DNA. So all those instructions to make a cell would have to be the same. You're making a cake, you need the same instructions every time you make a cake, right? Even if you're going to make a different kind of cake. The instructions are pretty much the same, maybe a little bit different ingredients. So we share our instructions with bananas, 50% of them. We don't have all the same features, obviously, as bananas, but we're made of cells, so that's a lot of the same living characteristics. All right, so organisms are grouped into categories, and there's a big category. We all are grouped in the same biggest categories. We're animals. We're all grouped with all the other animals. Mosquitoes are animals. Worms are animals. Jellyfish are animals. Cockroaches are animals. Sharks are animals, and so are humans. We are all grouped in the same kingdom. However, And you only have to write organisms are grouped from the largest to the smallest categories. You don't have to write kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, or species. There are spaces for you to write something else, and I'll tell you what to write in a second. I just want to explain this a little bit better. Each organism is going to be grouped into one of the 6 kingdoms. We're only going to do 5 kingdoms because the smallest kingdom can be broken down. Yesterday you learned about prokaryotes and eukaryotes, remember? In your homework. Some organisms have a nucleus and some don't. The simpler you are, or the smaller you are, the simpler your structures are. So those small organisms are going to be grouped in even smaller categories. But we're just going to talk about 5. 5 kingdoms. There's the animal kingdom, there's the Monera kingdom, Plante, Protista, and the last one is fungi. So, how are you going to remember all these words? I don't really want you to memorize them, I want you to understand them, but there is a little phrase that helps you remember them. Kids prefer candy over fine green spinach. Kids prefer candy over fine green spinach. So, I don't want you to memorize. You know that I like you to understand better than memorize. So how do you understand this? Think of a kingdom. Everything's in the kingdom, right? We're all allowed to be in there? But there's only one king. There's peasants. There's noblemen. There are servants. There's all different jobs in that kingdom, right? That make that kingdom go. But we're all part of that kingdom. Yeah, you're writing kingdom. Now, you're writing kids prefer candy over fine green spinach. In those lines, yep. When
Which one? Oh.
you actually do these activities, I'm never going to ask you what the phylum is of the organism. You might want to look it up. You can look it up in the computer. You can look it up in reference books. Why is it important to know the phylum? Because it just gives you another branch, another category that's more specific. Humans are in the chordata phylum. What the heck does that mean? That means all organisms that are in the chordata phylum have a backbone. That means we're classified with everything that's a vertebrate. So we even share the same classification as a snake.
What?
We don't share all of our classifications. We only share 2. Snakes are animals, and they also have backbones. They're also chordatas. So we share those 2 categories. We then go a little bit further. We're hairy. We're mammals. We have the ability to give birth to our young, that we have internal fertilization and internal development. That makes us mammals. We also have the ability to feed our babies milk. That makes us mammals. We have hair. There are certain criteria. In order to be in this class, you need to follow. We are primates. We have the ability to stand upright. We have the ability to walk on our hind legs. That makes us primates. We have the ability to use our thumbs. Our family name is called Hominidae. Only organisms that have opposable thumbs can be in my family. So not all organisms can be in there. You have to have the same qualifications. The final last 2 qualifications are even more specific. Look at the word species. Most specific. Only one group of organisms can be there. That's humans. All of my Homo sapiens. You have to have every single characteristic that I have. And then you can be in my human category. So I don't even know if all of you are humans. Are you?
Oh.
It's not behavioral. It could be behavioral. But it's mostly physical characteristics, cells, DNA, how you eat, the shape of your teeth. These are all characteristics that allow us to categorize organisms. So, Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Think you can sing it?
No.
You can. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Tom Brady.
Yes, it is Eli Manning. Eli Manning versus starfish versus jellyfish versus killer whales and chimpanzees.
Oh.
Each of those organisms are in the same kingdom, but they're not in the same phylum because they don't have backbones. So who are we getting rid of? Who does not have a backbone besides starfish and jellyfish? We have three that are in the same category. All three of these are mammals. They're in the same kingdom of class. But now, God bless you, which two can stand upright? Which two are primates?
The human and
The human and the chimpanzee. So, let's look. How similar are humans and chimpanzees? Oh, the chimp disappeared. On this section, you are writing humans kingdom. What kingdom do we belong to? Animalia. It's Latin. These are all Latin words. We have backbones. So do chimpanzees. We're both what? In that same next section where it says for humans, next to kingdom. You're only writing for humans. 1 year I compared a chimpanzee with George Bush, but then I felt bad because it's a little political. So I compared the human Eli Manning to, and he retired, so it's all good. Okay, we're both mammals because we're hairy. We're both primates because we can stand upright. We both have opposable thumbs. We're hominids. But this is where we get a little more specific. Look at the word species. Specific. What does specific even mean? There are a lot more what? You want the genus and the species name? The genus for a human is called what? Homo. The genus for a chimpanzee is called Pan. Now, this is how we get more specific. Homo sapiens have different sized skulls. We have different DNA. You're only writing the human. It says for humans. Homo sapiens are humans. Did you know that there are other organisms that are not humans that look like us? Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis. There are different types of genus that is the same as us, but different species name. So, at one point, the Homo neanderthals and the Homo sapiens lived together. There are no more Homo neanderthals. So what does that mean? They became extinct. They're gone. All we have left is Homo sapiens. Do you think Homo sapiens will disappear and we'll get something else? More specific than us. That means they got to be smarter than us. They have to outlive us. They have to have greater adaptations than us. Where are they going to come from? Us. There'll be a mutation of us. Are we smart enough to keep Homo sapiens alive? Do you think we are? Are we kind enough to keep us alive? That's really the question. Are we compassionate? Will the new organisms have more empathy for other organisms or less? We don't know any of those answers. We'll never know unless they evolve. Unless somebody has a mutation child that is much more intelligent than us, that will supersede our existence. How sick is that? All right, question. No. Yes, hold on. All right. Every organism is given a scientific name. It is. The only name you use comes from the genus and the species. So what's the scientific name for a human? Homo sapien. What's the scientific name for a horse? It's on the board. What do we call horses? Equus? Cavallus. Ever hear of equestrians? An equestrian is somebody who rides horses. That's where we got it from. This is the Latin name for horse. Equus cavallus. What do you think the Latin name for a pony is? Do you think the scientific name for a pony is similar? Probably should be, right? Are there different species of horses? Wild horses versus... Yeah, domestic horses, probably. Bye. They have different names. We're almost done. Turn it over. We're going to need to do this tomorrow. All right, so the first word in the scientific name is what? Capitalized, and the second word is always lowercase. Back at page 21 is your homework. The second name is always lowercase. So what does that mean? That means when you see a name scientifically, you look for capital, you know that's genus, and lowercase is the species. So when you write the word Homo sapien, the correct way to write Homo sapien is capital H, lowercase what? S. You want to write the scientific name for corn? Capital Z, lowercase m. You want to write the scientific name for a dog? Look at that, canis, canine. Canis, familiaris. You know what a wolf's name is? I'm going to show you. Wolves are... Hold on. Let's look at the cat first. Cats share the same what? They share the same kingdom because they're animals. We share the same kingdom as a cat. What do you think their phylum is? They have backbones? Yup. They're chordatas. What do you think their class is? Kingdom, phylum, class. Are they mammals? Yup. Do you think they're in the same family as us? No, they're felines. They're felidaes. Oh, they're carnivore. That's order. They're felidaes. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family. Now the genus. The genus for a normal cat is Felis silvestri. And the lion is Panthera leo. Even if you're a male lion, you're Panthera leo.
One is smarter than the other.
Which one is smarter?
Lion.
You think the lion's smarter than the house cat? I think the house cat's smarter.
They know where they live, but they don't.
All right, let's look. Skunk, chimpanzee, and dog. Which two organisms have the most in common? Let's look. They're all animals. They're all phylum is chordata. They're all mammals. What happens when we classify them in their orders? Oh, somebody doesn't go in the same group. Who gets kicked out? Chimpanzee. Which two are the most similar? Oh boy, the skunk and the who? Sorry. The skunk and the dog, because they share more categories. Species name for the skunk. Speligale. Pewtaurus. Get it? Pew.
Five kingdom.
That's a bird.
What did I keep? This is a vulture. All right. These are our 5 kingdoms. We're going to work on this tomorrow and do a little activity. Monera, fungi, animalia, planta and protista. All Latin again. You like Latin. All right. Put your stuff away. Write down the name for the dog. Not the dog.